and with its rear drive bias, it'll let you have a little bit of fun. Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey. I've got a question for you. What do you do if you are an up-and-coming auto manufacturer like Hyundai, Kia, and you have got the perfect sports sedan that all the journalists compare to driving a BMW, but better and at a better value, but nobody is buying it for some reason? Well, this. Welcome to the 2022 Genesis GV70. Nobody's buying a fancy Kia that can outperform a BMW? Make a luxury brand. Nobody's buying sedans anymore? Make it a small crossover. In this video, I'm going to go through what makes this such a good car and why I'm just about at my limits at how much I can gush over this car. Stay tuned. Under the hood of the Genesis GV70 is Hyundai Kia Genesis's 2.5-liter Turbo 4, making 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. It's really good, and this isn't even the top engine offered in this vehicle. You can opt for a 3-liter turbocharged engine. This one is good, does take premium gas, and I really like it. What we don't typically talk about under the hood is all the bracing. So even on this entry-level GV70, we've got some additional structural bracing in here, just showing you the true intentions of what this car was designed to do. Closing the clamshell hood, you can just truly take in the majesty of Genesis and their design language. I think they have just been on point with everything that they've been cranking out here lately. This grille is a dark chrome that just catches light in all the right ways. These lights here, I've got them turned off now, but the design language of Genesis features these two lines on the headlights that carry around to the taillights and just work so well. The Genesis logo even just screams panache and goes so well with this giant chrome grille. For those maybe not as in tune with vehicle design, you might mistake this for a Bentley or something even more expensive than what is essentially a fancy Kia or Hyundai. Not to just rest on design laurels, but the engineers have built in functional air curtains right here that actually get air out and around the front of this vehicle that help with aerodynamics. Moving around to the side here, you can see, even though this is not the top trim, this has got really nice dark 19-inch wheels that are multifaceted and look very good. This mid-grade white paint job, this is one of 3 different whites and costs $500 for this one. It is a pearl white that looks so good and just catches all these unique design lines built into the side of this vehicle. And I can't not mention the hood design. This design right here was intentional, this clamshell look up front. And as you come and follow this line up and down the side of the hood, it goes from being flush with the fender to overlapping the fender to leading directly into this line that carries down the entire width of the vehicle and even plunges down here towards the back of the vehicle. Taking a look at the profile of it, I think they just nailed it. I said this was a crossover, but it's as close to a shooting brake from the factory that you can get. It's just got nice tight proportions back here, and this plunging rear roofline just gives the presence of speed and sportiness and just athleticism. This unique chrome line that dips here instead of following the top of the window down, like the designers over at Genesis, Hyundai, and Kia are taking risks, and it's just working in so many different ways. I talked about the two lines up front with the headlights. Design carries along here to the back as well with full LED taillights. And just, this is perhaps the best back end of any crossover I have seen lately. It's just so compact, and I don't even know, I'm at a loss. Got big cutouts for your dual exhaust back here, and yes, I typically would knock all this fake vent plastic back here. I can't even do that here because it just, the whole cohesive design works for me. They've even hidden the rear hatch release right up here underneath the windshield wiper. This is a compact luxury sports crossover, I guess, and with such has decent room back here in the back and is comparable to our compact crossover that we daily in our Jeep Cherokee. What I really like for usability is the hatch mounted release for both of those front seats. If I didn't already have my kids' car seat in the passenger side, I would release that as well, but nice 60-40 split bench rear seat. That's enough here. Why don't we hop in and take a look at the luxuriously and very well appointed interior. So stepping inside this Genesis GV70, everywhere you look, it's just luxuriously appointed and very minimalistic in its design. It's very simple, yet very elegant at the same time. Everything from this single or dual spoke, depending on how you look at steering wheel, with rollers for adjusting your tuning or your volume. The paddle shifters back here, which do sound like they are actual metal. The switchgear in this is even nice and upscale and not borrowed from Hyundai's or Kia's. And then while you do get gloss black, it is really just relegated up here to a few touch panels, and for the most part it works for me. So over here on this side you have your auto start stop, the brightness for your gauges, hill descent control, which I don't really see anyone using in this, your traction control, and then over here on the center stack is where all of the rest of the gloss black continues, and we'll get into that in just a bit. This door panel, you've got leather wrapped, you've got stitching here, 2-person memory, all the controls for your windows are nicely appointed, have a little bit of knurling to them. Just really classy interior. And then this metal line that goes across the door continues across the dash, over the gauge hood, and across to the other side of the vehicle. Just a very classy, cohesive design all the way around. Right. Up here you have got a very wide and very pronounced color touchscreen display up here with a very calm screen that uses local weather data to populate the left side, and a graph here on the right for your local position in the world. Then you've got all of your controls. I said this was a touchscreen. It also has a rotary dial and trackpad built in down here with many different functions built into it. Very, very good system. I like options when it comes to controlling the screen. You can see here's that knob, and this top part is actually a trackpad that you can swipe across as well. Moving up here to your climate controls. I said there's a little bit of gloss black in here. This is where it is right here. So you've got dual air conditioning controls up here, so driver and passenger. You also have heated and ventilated seats. One of my only knocks on this vehicle is the ventilated seats do not stay on every time you turn the vehicle off and back on. Minor annoyances, to say the least. This touchscreen system of air conditioning controls, you would imagine would be very frustrating, but living with this, I've actually really liked it. It works well. It's very responsive to the touch, and you can control it in many different ways, but works very well, and I just like it. It works as you would expect it to work, which is what good design should do. And then you get this interesting little knob over here, or nodule. This is actually an industry first fingerprint reader, so you can set and customize all your settings. Just come in, press that and it'll remember who you are and how you had the vehicle set. Moving down further, you get your drive modes here, which you get several. You get Snow, Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Custom. Very nice, just tactile feel here. Get your camera button that actuates your parking camera. And then, if you're not going to give me a knob, I do like Genesis's design choice here with a little roller wheel for volume and tuning. I actually like it. It is the next best thing to a knob. I already talked about the knob here for controlling the touchscreen. And then typically I don't like rotary dials for controlling a vehicle's transmission, but this does allow for a very trick feature that I will show you in just a bit. Moving back, you get a nice center console here. It's very deep and actually goes up further up front here. A little removable pocket here. It's covered in leather, nice and cushy. 2 cup holders, and then a little hidden spot here for your Qi wireless charging and your USB-A inputs for your touchscreen. All told, very nice and very minimalistic but upscale interior. Let's move to the back and see what it's like sitting back there. Moving back to the back, you can see that Genesis designers did not forget about backseat occupants. You still get cool design touches like you did up front. Here, you get a lock and unlock button on all 4 doors, which is a nice upscale touch, and then a very large and wide window button. Speaking of the windows, you do get peasant blockers, because in this car, that's exactly what they are, peasant blockers. Sitting behind myself at 5'10", I've got good room. It's not just a massive vehicle, but in the compact luxury crossover segment, this is what you would expect. And you do get a manual recline on this seat as well. And like I said, it's 60-40 split bench, so the center armrest does go with you here on the driver's side, but very comfortable back here. Vents on the back of the center console. Not too much to say back here, but there is a trick little feature here for rear passengers on the passenger side. If there's not enough room for you, you can just reach up and move that seat out of the way. One last trick feature that really speaks to the luxury of this vehicle before we get in and drive it relates to the key fob here. Now, this is not the case in this wide open parking lot right now, but say somebody parked just a little bit too close to you and you can't get in. Well, you hit the lock button, hold the remote start button for the vehicle to start up, and then you can choose whether or not the vehicle will move forward out of its parking spot, or you can check and see maybe you need to back up out of the parking spot. Does really well. And for those concerned with safety, it won't even back into you. Very nice. Very smart park touch on this GV70. All right, setting off in the 22 Genesis GV70. First, the gear selector. Typically, I don't like rotary dial gear selectors, but as I mentioned before, this one works really well. It does free up the availability of that smart park feature because it's all electronic, not manual, not mechanical. And in this application, you turn it to the right to go to drive, left to go to reverse. It's not like an actual dial. It's more or less a selector. I don't know. It works well for me. It was easy for me to adapt to, and I generally do not have complaints with this. It even lights up red when you put it in reverse at night. And then this rotary dial, they're about the same size, but very clearly, just to the touch, different dials. And you get used to the placement of them very well. All told, a very easy car to just get in and learn how to drive. Speaking of which, drive mode selector right up here, I am going to drop it down into sport mode because I've got to do it, gearheads. I've got to see exactly how this thing does. And with its rear drive bias, it'll let you have a little bit of fun. So much fun that I may have knocked that camera loose just a little bit. Sorry there. But yeah, 300 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque is just right in this 2.5 liter 4-cylinder that is mounted the correct way, not transversely, but powering those rear tires primarily. This one is an all-wheel drive, so it will send power to the front when it needs it. There's even a screen up here in the gauge cluster where you can see where the power is being delivered and how much proportionately is being delivered to which of the 4 tires. So very good setup and system. Love that this is a rear drive bias platform and vehicle, and sets the stage for why I think I like this platform so well. It's no secret that the Hyundai Corporation has been headhunting Audi, BMW, like the big names in the industry for their executives, their designers, their engineers. And it is really starting to show off, especially here in the Genesis brand, in their premium brand. Hyundai is putting their money where their mouth is. They say we're going upscale. They say we're going to grow, that they're going to compete in the world market. And they are doing just that. They're going out and getting the people that know how to make excellent cars, and they're making excellent cars. I am finding myself giddy like I haven't been in nearly 20 years to drive this vehicle. Just this morning, I had an experience that I haven't really had since I was 16 years old. My wife and I were, kicking around the idea of going out to get breakfast. I'll go, without a hesitation. I volunteered. I haven't been that giddy to get in a vehicle since I was 16. I'm 35 now, and the vehicle has changed. The bent of what the vehicle was designed for has changed. I don't think this exact vehicle would excite me as much at 16 as it does now, but I'm in a different stage of life, and everything about this car is just so good. I can't explain it. There are a lot of things that are great, but it is the sum of the parts that make me so giddy about this car. First and foremost, I alluded to it in the intro, the Kia Stinger has long been praised by people who have driven it and put it to the test, that it is an excellent platform. The problem is Kia's brand perception and sedans, well, in that case, a liftback, hatchback, whatever you want to call it, they just aren't selling. So Hyundai Corporation, the parent company, adapts. What do? Well, they put it under a premium brand, Genesis. They make a hatchback, a proper SUV that is selling right now. And you get this, a wonderful car in every right. The build quality is stellar in here. The aesthetic is so nice and just a wonderful place to spend time. The electronics work. The powertrain works. This isn't even the most powerful powertrain offered in the GV70. You can get an even more potent 3-liter turbocharged engine, but here in this base model 2.5 liter, it's so good. It has me not even considering some of the competition now. So I'm on a curvy East Texas back road here, and the steering on it is so precise and locked in that you have the utmost confidence throwing it into a corner. I told you about that all-wheel drive setup. It makes sure you're getting the power to the right wheels. It lets you have a little bit of fun. It lets you squeal the tires. It lets you enjoy the driving dynamics of this vehicle, which all told are spectacular. I absolutely love it. I've found myself not just leaving it in sport mode, but I've been using all of them. Eco, sport, custom, all of that because it is just so much fun in all of them. I will get more towards the city driving impressions when I let my wife drive this in an upcoming family review. So if you are not subscribed and want to check out what this is like in city life, regular life, someone's opinion other than myself, be sure and hit that subscribe button so you can get her thoughts and opinions on it as well. Let's see what it does in this corner up here. So I've got it in sport mode. It does have augmented engine sounds, which are ramped up when you are in sport mode. Let's just see here. It's got a higher, there we go. Oh yeah. It's got its power delivered at a higher RPM than, say, the 2.5 liter that we tested in that Mazda CX-9 that we had not that long ago. That felt much punchier down low, but once you get into the power band of this, it just pulls and it wants to go. It wants to be driven. And you've got an 8-speed automatic in this with flappy paddles back here that will let you pick and choose the gears yourself. So if you need to pass, go on and pass, because this will allow you to find that sweet spot just fine as you are out driving on the roads and have so much fun doing it. I mentioned the various drive modes in this. I, again, am in sport, and I've got a glowing red needle on the tach, which, interestingly enough, I would say steals from Rolls-Royce a little bit in that it goes counterclockwise. It actually revs up as you rev the engine up, and it's a little disorienting at first, but knowing that it and the speedometer all rise to point up in the middle it's a cool touch. I really like it. As you roll through the different drive modes, though, you can definitely feel the differences in the steering feel, the differences in the throttle tip in. The easiest way to know what changes is while you're just cruising. I'm in Eco now. Let's see, we'll drop it into comfort and then into sport. Like, it already shot the RPMs up. It changes your throttle response, and just that initial dip in of throttle, you can have your foot in the exact same spot, but dropping it into sport mode automatically makes it more responsive to throttle input there with your right foot. This is a Genesis product, so it's got tons of luxury baked right in. The 360 view monitor, which I'll show right here while I'm at a stop, is spectacular. I love that you can pivot around a virtual version of your vehicle. Helps when parking in my tight garage, helps when parking in a parking space or just navigating traffic. I really like that a lot. It's got the blind zone cameras displayed in the tach area of the driver information center here that shows you what is in both of your blind spots, not just your passenger side like some other brands. Very, very nice touch there. It just seems like all vehicles should be this way. So it's got remote start. A lot of vehicles, especially luxury vehicles in this class, have remote start, but this one works in a way that when you get in the vehicle and sit down and close the door, you don't need to push the start button again to let it know, okay, I want to drive. It just knows, okay, they're in the car now. They want to drive. Let's just make it ready to drive now. So just smart, logical touches like that just make so much sense. I will dip into how this drives a little bit with my real world U-turn test. So here I am, 3-lane highway with a turning lane, hard lock to the left. It puts me in the 3rd lane, but I can easily end up in the center. So it does definitely have a sporty bent to the steering, the quickness of the steering, but turns lock to lock. It does not have just the biggest turning radius. One more time here. Hard turn. Yeah, it's going to put me in the 3rd lane, but I'll end up in the center. So not the tightest turning circle for a compact crossover. But again, what this thing is built for is fun, fast speed, and it does it really well. So you're going to be able to navigate parking lots with this. You're going to be able to navigate the valet line in this, because this really is a premium vehicle at not that much of a premium price. Cross-shopping this at $50,600 and some change, it really is unrivaled in that price point, in what you get. A solid sport-tuned chassis that wants to be driven, but is so comfortable if you just want to go out for a Sunday drive or get to someplace quietly and comfortably, that's not a word, but comfortably. It does it all so well, and it just punches above its weight class. It really does. It gives me the value of a vehicle that is worth $60,000 or flirting with $70,000 at $50,000. And you can get into this vehicle with this powertrain at $41,000. Ultimately, I've only got just like a few nitpicks, not even knocks, but nitpicks with this vehicle that keep it from being absolutely perfect, in my opinion. I'm sorry to gush so much about it, but I really do like it that much. It is so good and puts a smile on my face every time I see it in the garage, in my driveway, anywhere, out in the parking lot, in the wild. I love this car more than I should. I don't know. I apologize for being so giddy about this vehicle, but when it can do this, it's just so much fun. Final thoughts on the Genesis GV70. I've said it before in this video, it's perhaps the favorite vehicle that I've ever been given for any length of time. It is so much fun and will even drive itself. Like luxury touches I never dreamed of in my entire life. This thing is good. It's stunning to look at. It's so fun to drive, to which I don't want to give this one back. If I could buy this exact one as it sits right here next to me at $50,000, I would in a heartbeat. It's that good. Genesis is a new brand, so if you don't live near Lafayette, Louisiana, where they opened up their first ever standalone dealership, go find your local Hyundai dealership and see if they can hook you up. Because let me tell you, Genesis is an excellent brand, and this car is so good.